We want to find the standard form of the equation for a hyperbola that has foci at 5, 0 and negative 5, 0, and the segment of its conjugate axis bounded by the guide rectangle has a length of 8. First, let's go ahead and plot these foci so we can start to visualize this hyperbola. 5 and 0, that's one focus, and negative 5 and 0 is another focus. All right, I know a few things then. I know that the transverse axis has to run through the foci, so the transverse axis is going to be the x-axis, and that lets me know, because the transverse axis is running along the x-axis, it lets me know that it's the x squared term that's positive in the equation for this hyperbola. So the first thing I know is it's going to be x squared and y squared will be negative equal 1. And I know this because the center has to be halfway between each focus. So the center is going to be at 0, 0. So h and k are both 0. And the other thing I know is I know c, because c is how far from the center to a focus. That's c. And I can see that that's 5. So I'm going to just put that down here. C equals 5. Now the other piece of information I'm given is the conjugate axis. So the conjugate axis is going to run vertical here through the center vertically, and it has a length of 8 for the guide rectangle. It's got to be symmetric, so it has to go up 4 this way and down 1, 2, 3, 4 from the center this way. So those are 2 points on the guide rectangle. And because they are on the conjugate axis, that will be underneath the y. So I know b equals 4. So b squared is what's underneath the y, will be 16. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to want to figure out what a is so that I can put a squared under the x squared, and I'll have this equation for the hyperbola. Well, a is how far we would go from the center out to each vertex, and I wasn't given that, but I was given c, and I have a connection. C squared equals a squared plus b squared. So let's square the c. So square root of 5 is 25. Equals, I don't know a squared, but I do know b squared, that's 16. So I can solve this for a squared by subtracting 16 from both sides, and it looks like that would leave me 9. So a squared is 9, so I can put that in up here, 9. And I have the equation of my hyperbola. If I wanted to finish graphing that, that would mean a was 3, so there would be a vertex at 3 and 0, and another vertex at negative 3 and 0. I could finish this guide rectangle with that information, and I could make the asymptotes, which are the diagonals of that guide rectangle, and then I could go through the vertex. The vertex is on that transverse axis. The positive term was x squared, so it's along the x squared, and make the 2 branches of the hyperbola through the vertex heading towards the asymptotes.